Hello, beautiful soul family. Rebecca here, your vibe mentor, bringing you another video on how to raise your vibrations so you can live your best life. Let's talk today about a sensitive striver. So, what is a sensitive striver? There are different kinds of sensitives, and you may be sensitive, you can be highly sensitive, you can be an empath. That's sort of the spectrum of sensitivity and empathy. And then there's a separate category within that group of sensitive strivers. So those of us who are purpose-driven entrepreneurs are likely sensitive drivers. So we're going to dig into what makes you awesome and amazing and how to work with your sensitivity within an environment where you are striving to accomplish goals. But before we dig into that, I just want to reiterate that if you are here, if you watch these videos, if you're subscribed to this channel, you absolutely are part of the same soul family as the rest of us here, including myself. And you are not alone in this anymore. And that's why I'm here. That's why I've created a community called the New Earth Construction Team for those of us who are purpose-driven entrepreneurs. You could say spiritual people, light workers, just good-hearted people who want to make a difference in the world and who are committed to the path of bringing our life purpose to fruition. Then you want to be part of the New Earth Construction Team. We work on healing the trauma or the blocks that hold you back from your purpose so that you can manifest abundance and assist in creating heaven on earth. Now, of course, all of those three things go together because in order to create heaven on earth, it is going to require money. And if you have a block or a belief around abundance or money that is holding you back, you are not going to be able to fully step into your purpose because you are perfectly imperfect for your purpose. You have a gift, a special offering that the world needs that only you can offer, and that is your role in participating in the construction of the new earth. Now, what I've found is in order to manifest abundance, create the new earth, and step into your purpose, there are usually blocks that we as good-hearted people have experienced the rough side of life and have developed either complex trauma, the lack mentality, a belief that the world is not safe or there's something wrong with you that will keep you from stepping into that. So our community is all about supporting your healing journey, identifying your life purpose, learning how to manifest, and assisting you in stepping into your role as part of the New Earth Construction Team. And of course, community is part of that. Feeling safe, seeing your value reflected back to you, and having that safe place, the sounding board where you can bounce things off of people just like you. And so, of course, the beautiful acronym for the New Earth Construction Team sounds something like the NEST. So we are going to be together incubating in the safety of our nest, and I will hold space for you and make sure that you have everything you need to flourish and step into your role as a creator here on planet Earth in this time. So if you want to join us, doors are opening officially. You'll be able to jump into the membership and see everything going on 11/11. Of course, it just happened to work out that this is the time of year that we're going to do this, and so 11/11 makes perfect sense. I have chosen a platform. We are ready to invite you. So if you want to secure your spot for $25 a month, you will be considered a founding member, and you will be grandfathered in at that price forever, regardless of how the community changes. So secure your spot now to lock in that lowest price it will ever be between now and forever, and join us in the community. We look forward to seeing you in the nest. All right, so let's get into what is a sensitive striver. I was super excited to find this term, to learn more about it. Of course, I have identified as extremely highly sensitive. Obviously an empath as well. You know, I can't go into a Walmart for very long because the energy is in me, and it is problematic. So I understand what it is like to be sensitive. Now, what I didn't understand was that not all good-hearted, kind-hearted, spiritual beings, light workers, whatever label you want to put on it, not all light workers are driven to their purpose, driven to achieve. And that's why the term sensitive striver is a category of people that I very closely identify with, and I wanted to share with you that if you are a purpose-driven entrepreneur, if you have interest in joining the New Earth Construction Team, there is something unique about us. and our sensitivity is our superpower. Now, I know you've heard that before. If you've not gone down the path of healing, I do something called brain spotting, which is really, really critical for getting that complex trauma up and out of the body, because it is the block, it is the glass ceiling that will keep you from moving into your purpose. You can know in your prefrontal cortex that I have a purpose. There is something I'm supposed to do. Like me, I managed $1 billion portfolio for someone else. I brought products from idea to fruition and buried them at the same time, right? Managing all of these different product lines for someone else and not able to do it for myself. And I couldn't quite understand why until I learned about complex trauma. And it was the trauma, the belief in not enoughness, the fear of being seen, the sensitivity and understanding and feeling when other people are rejecting or criticizing. It was too much. It was system overwhelm, that I had not emptied out my cup so that I could take in more. And so likely many of you here in this community, in this channel, in this soul family are experiencing something similar. That's why people are drawn to me, is because they have a purpose and there's something blocking them, keeping them from it. And so if you are highly sensitive and you have known that you wanted to step into your purpose, you have that drive, that innate desire, that yearning that will not let you rest until you do what you came here to do, then likely you fall in the category of being a sensitive striver, someone who wants to strive for greater things, make a difference in the world, do something that matters, and knowing that there's fulfillment on the other side of that. So let's dig in. There's a woman by the name of Melody Wilding who wrote the book. She was a social worker. She wrote the book, Trust Yourself, Stop Overthinking and Channel Your Emotions for Success at Work. Now, she's not necessarily, considered a spiritual person. I have made videos before where I feel like it's doing us a disservice to put ourselves in this odd bucket. I don't want to say odd, but this separate bucket, the separation of we're spiritual people separate from the rest of the world. Because the truth is, many people in the 1%, many wealthy people, many successful people, many professionals understand energy. They understand manifestation. They understand the energetics. They're in tune. They're tapped in. They're turned on. They're always connected. They're meditating. And to say that we're somehow different because we're spiritual is doing ourselves a disservice. So I need to find a new way to articulate this. But that being said, I should say the book is driven towards professionals. How about that? Towards people in the corporate world. And so just know that as I go through some of her quotes and the lists of things, that likely you'll hear a business tone to this, right? Don't let that turn you off, because the New Earth construction team is building new types of businesses. The old way, right? The connotation of corporate has such a bad negative vibration with it right now that we want to set that aside and recognize that to build something, to create something, to manifest something is part of who we are, part of what we were made to do. And we should not hold ourselves back because some people have given the business world a bad name. Okay. So what is a sensitive striver? There are 6 character traits that Melody outlines in her book that qualify you as a sensitive striver. Obviously, number 1 is being sensitive, right? So there's something called the HSP, or the Highly Sensitive Person Scale. You can Google that. There's a test out there where you can figure out how sensitive are you. I was an 8 out of 10 on the scale. So certainly any amount of sensitivity qualifies. There is no barrier to entry here. So if you feel you are sensitive, then check that box. Number 2 was thoughtfulness. Likely, as a sensitive person, you can't help but be thoughtful of yourself, the people around you, and I'll get into kind of how this shows up in just a minute. Number 3 is a high sense of responsibility. Again, somehow I feel it necessary to organize the New Earth construction team. So I think that qualifies as a high level of feeling or a sense of responsibility, right? Number 4, inner drive. Like I mentioned, that yearning, that push, that pull out of bed that says, I cannot rest. I cannot leave this earth until I know that I have accomplished what I came here to do. Right? Number 5 is vigilance, which is interesting because from a complex trauma standpoint, hypervigilance is not a good thing. It's very detrimental to the body. We end up causing more problems than we solve in our vigilance, but to some degree of vigilance is very helpful when it comes to being successful in the New Earth construction team or in the corporate world or the business world, right? Number 6 is emotionality. Now, it's very fascinating to me, and this topic is sort of percolating in me and will come through very shortly. But that emotion has been identified as something that's bad for so long, and it's been pressed down. But as I work on healing the trauma and seeing that trauma is stuck emotion in the body, the blockages are stuck beliefs and emotions in the body, that even a belief comes with an emotion. Emotion is energy in motion. It is the frequency and vibration. It is our attraction point. Emotion is the source of creation. And so it's very fascinating that a sensitive person or a sensitive striver is considered to have high emotionality. That only about 30% of the population feels things as strongly as we do, which means 2/3 of the population does not have as rich an emotional environment or an internal environment as we do, which begs the question, does that make us more capable of creation if feeling as if and the emotionality and the vibration is what creates? What does that say? So I'll save that topic for another video. As you can see, it's not completely fleshed out, but let's consider emotionality as a good thing. As long as it's managed, we need to understand how to manage our emotionality. All of these qualities are tremendous assets when it comes to a business environment or the corporate world, where thoughtfulness, being responsible, being vigilant, being capable of spotting the problems, right? Being responsible enough to make sure that those problems are solved for, having the inner drive to make sure that the responsibility is upheld and the problems are solved for. You can see how these all tie in together. So we're also very conscientious, hardworking, compassionate. We have an inner world that is on overdrive. Like I said, it ties into the emotionality. We think and feel more deeply. There's critical thinking, empathy, and the ability to spot new opportunities that are significantly higher for sensitive strivers than for people who would not identify as that. We are able to spot opportunities and see the nuances that people miss. There often are innovative ideas and original solutions will come through the sensitive strivers. We take in more information and put together pieces more deeply than most people would. We anticipate eventualities, so being able to think ahead of the curve, right? We mitigate situations before they become a problem. We're highly empathic and emotionally intelligent. We can sense people, challenges, patterns, and even bullshit. And sometimes that is in others, and sometimes that is in ourselves. And what that can lead to is some greater challenges, which I'll get to in a second. But that also allows us to influence people in a positive way. Again, we have that high sense of responsibility and integrity to do the right thing. We likely are good at or skilled in a way, or could become skilled in a way at persuading people in an authentic way. We're good at motivating others, boosting team morale, and it was really fascinating is from a neuroscience perspective, our brain lights up in more areas that are connected to social interaction, empathy, awareness, and other people's emotions. So our brain literally operates differently than those who would not identify as sensitive. So some of the bigger challenges, like I said, being able to spot our own BS means that we're also very critical of ourselves. We lack confidence. Confidence is our biggest downfall when it comes to being able to use these gifts as a superpower. We have self-doubt. We may struggle with some imposter syndrome or self-criticism, feelings of emotional overwhelm, emotional reactivity, people-pleasing perfectionism. We may not trust ourselves, and it's likely because we don't feel worthy of being trusted. Now, keeping in mind, and when we go back to the foundation of how is sensitivity created, it comes through trauma. So that trauma causes us, the brain's job is to keep us safe. It recognizes the world around us is not safe. So it learns it has to constantly navigate the world and figure out who's here, what potential problems could there be, who do I need to become to stay safe, and what potential solutions could I put into place to stay safe. Now that would be considered hypervigilance if we're doing that all the time. Now the key here is balance and finding the middle ground. So we can see that as a trauma response. We can recognize it as being maladaptive if we're doing it all the time, but we can also recognize it as a gift and learn how to use it with intention, whether it's for business or in areas where it's appropriate. Right? So how do we strengthen this superpower and reduce the downside? So number one, heal the traumas and triggers. If you have these triggers, if you are triggered easily, if you find yourself overreacting to a situation that wouldn't typically call for as extreme a response as you have given, then likely it is a trauma that needs to be healed. And I will just say in this moment, thank you to the subscriber who offered the suggestion of speaking more slowly. I will slow down. I am not quite in the habit yet, but I will practice doing that. I do think and speak very quickly. I recognize that and I can understand the need for slowing down, so I appreciate that. So number one of 9 ways that we can strengthen our superpower of sensitive strivers and reduce the downside was heal the traumas and triggers. So when you feel triggered, that is an indication that in the body there is a trauma that needs to be released. I use something called brain spotting. You need something that is a somatic healing modality. Brain spotting and EMDR are the 2 best for healing trauma. Number 2 is name your inner critic. So notice, I like to call him the little trauma demon that sits on my shoulder, or sometimes I call it the trauma brain. You can call it Bob. One guy calls it Darth, and he says when the extreme criticism comes up, he says, "Not today, Darth." And so, again, I have to credit Melody and her book and for all of the quotes and the information given here. That was one example that she used. But when we can name our inner critic, we can make fun of him. You could call him Bob. You could call him SpongeBob. You could call him George. You could call him anything you want that makes you laugh and brings levity to the situation where that voice is trying to tear you down and make you feel like you are not enough, because it is a lie. You can trust the fact that if you are a sensitive and you are a striver, if you are putting forth effort towards healing, towards doing the work, towards building your dreams, building a life for yourself, your family, for the people around you, then you can trust yourself. And it is okay to make mistakes. And having grace for yourself is number 3. In those times where you've made mistakes, I love improv as a perfect example. Just bow. Improv is an amazing analogy of how we can live life. If you make a mistake, you're right where you need to be to learn the lesson you need to learn. And we can say, wow, I saw the mistake, I see the solution, I'm implementing the solution, therefore I can let the past go. So have grace for yourself. Number 4, follow your gut. It ties very closely into number 5, trust yourself. Right? So trust yourself, trust where you are, trust where you have been, where you have come from, where you are going, trust your intuition, trust when something comes to your attention. Don't challenge that or negate it. Don't press it down. You must trust yourself because you are gifted, and the things that you sense, the things that come to you are gifts that not many people have access to. Right? Following your gut, I'm kind of mixing these 2 together, 4 and 5, but your gut brain is just as intelligent as your head brain. And so trust your body as much as you trust what comes to your mind. Of course, within reason, keeping in mind the trauma brain or your inner critic. We don't want to listen to them. If you have questions about how to determine the difference between trauma brain and when to trust yourself, I did do a video on that already, so check that out. Number 7, it's not personal. So how someone else responds to you says very little about you and more about them. That if someone is negative towards you, if they're triggered by you, that is their own internal environment asking to be healed and worked on. That is not up to you to solve that problem. Number 8, stop overthinking. So the brain, especially the trauma brain, the highly sensitive brain, the vigilant brain, can really get on the hamster wheel and have a hard time getting off. And the best way to do that is to be present in your heart. So bring your focus and attention to your heart, sit with your heart, and breathe into your heart. Imagine your heart beating. And as you do that, it's called heart coherence. There's plenty of science behind that. It will regulate your bodily functions, including your brain, to help your brain calm down. Now, if you need to remind yourself, I am safe, I am safe, I am safe, I am cared for, the universe will catch me, there is nothing to worry about in this moment, right? Whatever it takes to just quiet the brain. Number 9, am I ahead of myself? Number 8, where are we at? Number 9, it is not up to you to solve your problems, or it is not up to you to solve everyone else's problems. We only need to worry about us. It is not up to us to fix how someone else feels. If someone is feeling uncomfortable, if they're feeling triggered, if they're not happy with the way the situation is going, whether it's in your personal life or in your work life, that is not your problem. And as a sensitive, when we sense and feel their pain, we want to solve it for 2 reasons. One, we understand they're in pain. We like to help. We want to be of service. We want to fix it for them. But 2, we also feel it and we want to fix it for us. And so it's important to learn to sit with those feelings. Again, if you heal the trauma, you will not feel as sensitively everyone else's pain. You'll learn how to process that and move that through. There's less blockage in you, and so emotion passes through and you move through things very, very quickly. So just remember, it's not your responsibility to fix how someone else is feeling or their problems. Right? So confidence is not a prerequisite for success. It is a byproduct. So just remember that we often get hung up on taking the next step or moving forward because we don't have it all figured out, or we don't feel like we're confident enough, or we don't feel like we're good enough. But the truth is, the confidence, the success, the ability, the muscles are built in the action and not beforehand. So remember, the confidence is not a prerequisite for success. It is a byproduct, right? And also note too that managers frequently rate their more sensitive workers as their top contributors. Add to that, this is very fascinating, I loved understanding this, that there is not a difference between men and women as far as their levels of sensitivity. That a sensitive striver is equally as sensitive whether they are masculine or feminine. And even more fascinating, because it couldn't get any more fascinating than this, at birth, infant boys are actually more sensitive than females. And I did a video recently about kind of what does the ideal man look like, because I don't think we have a good sense of what a man was designed to be. I think they're very confused by, and I don't want to say there aren't any, because I know there are some great role models out there. I met quite a few at Funnel Hacking Live 2022. But I think we're still moving into a new definition of what the ideal masculine looks like. And I, as a mother of a young boy, was very surprised to understand how sensitive a 3-month-old or a 6-month-old or a 12-month-old little boy is. That before the programming came in, he was very soft. And it's very fascinating to see that the science supports that boys are actually more highly attuned in their nervous system and sensitive than girls, just as a baseline before we factor in the high sensitivity. So if you are a man or you identify as a masculine, your sensitivity is honored and valued and respected and seen as equally important and valuable here, right? So keep in mind that future jobs that report, okay, so future jobs reports the top skills that are needed or valued. They are critical thinking, problem solving, people management, communication, self-management, and all of these things are part of being a sensitive. Now, if you think about the way that the job market is going, the way that automation is going, robots can't be emotional. Robots are not capable of sensitivity or having the ambition to do the right thing or being internally motivated by empathy. And so really start to reframe your sensitivity. Know that if you feel it is an inhibitor right now, if you have that desire to step into your purpose, you have the desire to be a sensitive striver but are not currently able to accomplish the striving, know that it is possible if you truly have that drive and you pair that with some sort of somatic healing, that you can make this happen, that the battle of the brains does not have to exist forever. Our prefrontal cortex that says, I know how to do this, I know I can do this, I want to do this, but then the limbic brain says, no, it's not safe, let's not do that, and then we self-sabotage and we feel overwhelmed and all sorts of reasons why we fall back into playing small. All right. I love you guys. Please do make sure you email me if you're interested in joining the New Earth Construction team. We are absolutely going to do huge things. First, and there is a success path, so get in right away because you want to start with us right when we begin. There is a success path, and I hope to do that on 6-month loops. So hopefully, ideally, you get in at the beginning. We can start to heal the trauma, step into your life purpose, manifest abundance, and create the new earth together. All right, I love you guys. I will see you on the next video. Please do make sure you like, subscribe, and share. Click this button to subscribe. Otherwise, this video is chosen based on your preferences. All right, take care, my friends. Namaste.